So
Yeah, absolutely.
every guest on this show leaves behind something that the audience can download, and it's relevant to what we're talking about, and then they can put it into action afterwards. Comes back to exactly what we're talking about, right? Learning something and putting it into action. Now, you've brought along with you a framework that's
Yeah,
got four big chunks.
framework-ish.
Framework-ish, which, yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about this before. I'm not sure what a framework-ish is, but it's a framework-ish.
Yeah.
But it's got four areas to help people focus on this sense of self-learning, putting it into action, and then sharing it. So the first thing that you encourage people to do is side projects. Now, we've already touched on that a little bit, but perhaps you can elaborate. If I'm sitting here now listening or watching and thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. Tell me how to get started on a side project.
So to me, you've got two options. And again, sorry to those non-technical people, I'm going to take that from a tech world. You could spin up your own open source project and start building it. Jeremy, you were talking about kind of learning Python and, pieces there. Within that, you could go and do something on that. Another way is you could start working on a side project as well. So look at what someone else is doing that is open to contributions. GitHub is fantastic for that. There's always a contributor area within that that sort of tells you where you can get involved and you can start building on that. So you could start on your own. You can start joining someone else's on there. Look at what other people are doing. One of my favorite people in the world, Donna Sarker, for anyone who's watched any of the Microsoft events like Ignite and Build, she's often there kind of hosting parts from it. And she has a lovely bar in Seattle called Side Hustle. And she
Okay.
also runs a fashion chain called Prima Donna. These are all her little side hustles, other things that she's felt inspired by and kind of gone ahead and turned into businesses within there as well. And I'm sure it might be saying this, some of them have more prevalence at a time and then they die back a little bit. They still kind of keep ticking over, and then she finds the passion again and they kind of come back up on there. Again, do that with you. So monitor the ones on there.
Yeah.
Why do this? And does it need to be as much as running your own fashion chain? One of my favorite stories is Samit Saini, who
Hmm.
used to work on the in Heathrow on the security. So where they used to check the baggage going through, you have to take your belt off, take your shoes. One of the things they had there was obviously you get a lot of people who don't speak English. And they used to have a big A4 pads, all kind of laminated, and they used to rotate through them with the different versions in different languages and kind of flipping back and forth, trying to find the right one from there. And he was like, why isn't there a digital solution to this? We've got these kind of tablet devices. Surely there's a way. And I think he started looking at maybe a PowerPoint version of
Hmm.
that, but that was kind of clunky going through slides. And he's like, surely there's a way I can build an app. And so we started exploring. They had the Microsoft stack. So we looked at the low-code Power Apps, and he taught himself Power Apps. He went online, looked at Microsoft Learn, watched a load of other people's videos, and he built that as an app, and then went to Heathrow and look what I've got. This, using devices, it's not going to cost you any more money within this. It's all within licenses. Can I start using this? And they were like, yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
If you look up his LinkedIn, you'll see his photo is actually him with Satya Nadella, because his passion for learning that Power App, for making it happen and driving that adoption within Heathrow, he came on stage at, I think I was either Ignite or Build, and got to stand next to Satya Nadella and have his story spoken about there. And I've met him a few times. He's such a down-to-earth, lovely guy. And he has changed his career from working there on the security. He now works in the digital innovation team at Heathrow. So he has changed his career through actively building these apps in his own time, sharing that as he went along, and then moving that into a core role. So he's a
But
great example in that.
what I picked up in that is quite a lot about motivation and having the ideas, the inspiration, if you like, for something to do. And you've
Mm.
crossed it in two ways. One is, don't try and get the inspiration for the project yourself, because often that's a blocker. Like, okay, I want to do a project, but what shall I do? I don't know, therefore I don't do it. So if you go to
Yeah.
someone like GitHub and just pick up and get involved. And the second one, your lovely story, which I'm pleased you brought up about Sachin, is, he saw a problem right in front of him, and that became his purpose, his mission, and he went away and solved it. And yeah, the rest is history.